Annie Aljufali was on her way to visit her boyfriend Glenn in another state. It was winter break and she had time off from teaching, so she decided to spend a week with him. She packed her things and set out in her old 2012 BMW, driving through snowy weather. The further north she drove, the more challenging the road conditions became. As she traveled, the snow intensified and a blizzard warning was issued. Annie and Glenn agreed it was best for her to try to beat the blizzard that night rather than drive the following day when the roads would be even worse. As the weather worsened, Annie decided she might need to find somewhere to stay for the night. She stopped at a small diner for a sandwich and coffee, where the waitress advised her against driving in the current situations. The waitress also recommended a few nearby hotels and motels. As Annie considered her options, a man named Snoop sitting at the bar turned around and suggested a nearby motel, which was affordable and seemed decent. Annie introduced herself as Jessa to Snoop and felt uneasy with his constant attention. After finishing her meal, she left the diner and headed to the motel Snoop had mentioned. She checked in, paid for a room, and retrieved her belongings from her car. The room was small but adequate for one night stay. Annie tried to FaceTime Glenn, but the connection was too weak. She stepped out to get the Wi-Fi password from the front desk. On her way, she saw a new car parked in the lot with someone inside, but she didn't think much of it. Annie heard a noise coming from the bathroom and realized she didn't remember if the door had been closed earlier. She told Glenn about the noise and began to worry that she might not have locked her motel room when she left to get the Wi-Fi password. As she got up to check, she noticed extra footprints leading to her door, suggesting the person from the car earlier had been in her room. Panicking, she closed her room door and ran to the front desk to report an intruder in her room. The front desk worker seemed unwilling to confront the intruder. Annie watched as she saw Snoop leave her room and drive away. The front desk worker offered her a different room for free charge. The next morning, the roads were clear enough for Annie to continue her journey to Glenn's place. But the eerie events from the previous night weighed heavily on her mind. She couldn't shake the unsettling memory of Snoop's sudden appearance at the motel. As she drove through a small town, Annie slowed down at a funeral procession. Her heart raced as she saw the open casket at the heart of the gathering. Beside it was a photograph of the deceased, Snoop, the same man she had seen at the motel. Annie was stunned. How could Snoop be dead if she had just seen him last night? As she stared at the funeral, a chilling thought crept into her mind. Had she been talking to a ghost, or was there something more sinister at play? Annie shuddered, quickly started her car, and drove away, unable to shake the haunting feeling that she had encountered something beyond her comprehension. The mystery of who or what she had met the night before lingered in her mind, leaving her with more questions than answers. One thing was certain, she would never forget the terrifying events of that night. Andre Mariano is a field IT expert who lives in Crescent City. Due to an emergency at his work in San Diego, California, he needs to drive there, a journey that will take approximately 11 hours. He set out on a Thursday night. He drank 3 cups of coffee early on in the drive to stay alert, but his exhaustion wasn't helped much. He hadn't slept much the night before due to stress at work, and a long day at work made the last thing he wanted to do an 11-hour drive. As the night progressed, Andre found himself growing increasingly tired. With about 2 hours left, he saw very few other cars on the road. Suddenly, Andre noticed a woman in white nightgown standing on the side of the highway. The woman was just facing his car as he drove by. As he passed, Andre saw the woman's face turn to follow his car. It was truly unsettling. Andre thought about offering the woman a ride, but dismissed the idea due to the eerie situation. About 10 minutes later, Andre saw another woman in white nightgown standing on the side of the road. This woman too stared directly at Andre's car. When Andre slowed down to the side of the road, he looked in his rear-view mirror and saw the woman in white nightgown disappear into thin air. Panicking, Andre hit the gas and kept going. With about an hour and a half left in the drive, Andre stopped for a coffee at a pit stop. While sitting on the parking lot, he saw another woman in white nightgown standing under a light post. It was the same woman as before. Andre hurriedly left the rest area, now certain something was wrong. Andre's fear grew as he felt he might pass out behind the wheel. He pulled off the highway into a random parking lot to sleep. As he drifted off, he woke up suddenly and looked around. Nothing seemed off until he checked the rearview mirror and saw the woman sitting in the back seat. Andre screamed and fell backward out of the car. Once he caught his breath, Andrew found the back seat empty. He realized his mind had been playing tricks on him due to exhaustion and stress. He got back in his car, finished his coffee, and completed the drive. By the time Andre reached the hotel, he was utterly exhausted and fell asleep immediately upon entering his room. A few hours later, he was jolted awake by a loud banging on his door. Suddenly, the power went out, plunging the room into a total darkness. He quickly opened the door but was surprised to find no one there. However, as he looked down the hallway, he spotted a woman in a white nightgown standing near the elevator. Caroline Chu was on her way home late one night, enjoying the calm drive. It was just after midnight, and the empty road was exactly the serene journey she loved. A beep from her car notified her that she was running low on fuel. Caroline used her Maps app to find the closest gas station and headed in that direction. After a few minutes, she arrived at a generic gas station on the side of the road, the only stop for miles. As she pulled up to a pump, she noticed a man filling up an old pickup truck. He stared at her as she walked past him and went inside to buy coffee and pay for her gas. When Caroline returned to the car, the man had already left. She filled her tank and set off down the road. Soon after leaving the station, she saw the same pickup truck parked on the side of the road, its engine off. She drove on, keeping an eye on it in her rear view mirror, but the truck stayed still. Continuing her drive and resuming her podcast, Caroline relaxed until her car alerted her of a low tire pressure. Slowing down, she heard the telltale sound of a flat tire. Pulling over, she found her rear driver's side tire completely deflated. It struck her as strange since she hadn't hit anything, and she began to suspect the man from the gas station. Caroline pulled out her phone to call her roadside assistance company when she heard an engine behind her. Strangely, there were no headlights, and then the engine stopped abruptly. She grabbed her SOS flashlight from the trunk and aimed it down to the road. To her shock, she saw the reflection of a truck's headlights parked 200 feet away. It was the same pickup truck. Terrified, Caroline fled into the woods, hiding behind a large bush. She whispered her location to the 911 operator and explained her situation, including her suspicion that the man from the gas station had slashed her tire and following her. But the call cut off due to poor reception. As she hid, she heard another vehicle approaching and the voices of two men talking. Peeking out from her hiding spot, she saw the man from the pickup truck conversing with another driver. Caroline knew she had to act fast. She rushed into the road, shouting for help and pointing out that the man had slashed her tire. The new driver seemed concerned, while the man with the pickup denied all accusations. As he hurried back to his truck, he drove off quickly, leaving Caroline and the other driver behind. The kind driver offered Caroline a ride into town, but she told him the police were on their way. Moments later, an officer arrived and took Caroline's statement, promising to check the gas station's camera footage. After a few days, the police invited Caroline to view the gas station's CCTV footage. To their surprise, the video showed a total wreck of a pickup truck with a dead man covered in blood inside. Have you ever had an encounter that left you questioning reality? Share your story in the comments below and let's uncover the mysteries together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to FearFlix for more videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you at the next one.